Hi, I'm Dr. George Yancey. Let's share some paradigms. And the paradigm I want to share today is President Donald Trump. Now, I've tried to avoid being directly involved, talking about politics directly, because I want this channel to be about Christians and thinking more about how we can incorporate sociological insight into our Christian walk. And so I don't want to get into partisan politics, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time with partisan politics on this channel. Sometimes issues may come up, and I'm going to address them. But I want to address Trump in the spirit of what should we as Christians do about it. And I think the best way to enunciate where I now fall today in 2025 is to go back to 2016 and tell you about where I was at and bring it up. And I think at the end of this, you'll see that it's brought me to a place that I think I'm more comfortable with today than I was in 2016. And it's something I would advocate for a lot of Christians to think about. All right. So 2016, when Donald Trump first came on the scene, at first, I thought he was a joke. I thought he would go the way of Herman Cain and be in there for about a week and then fall to the back of the pack of the Republican nomination, and we never heard about him again. And to my shock and horror, he actually won the Republican nomination. And at that point, I didn't know where I was going to go, where I was going to vote, because I was not going to vote for him. I was uncomfortable voting for Clinton for a variety of reasons. Eventually, I decided to go with the American Solidarity Party. For the first time in my life, I went to a third party because I could not support either one of the two parties. I remember the night of the election, because I was convinced Trump was going to lose. The polls had showed he was behind. Some polls by only 3 or 4, some polls by more. And I thought I was going to lose. And I want my voting interest, my rooting interest, if you will, was to have at least a Republican Senate to stop Clinton. And so when Rubio won the Florida Senate seat, I was like, okay, good. The Republicans are going to have the Senate. Clinton's going to be reined in. That's good. And so, being the nerd that I am, I was looking at all these election boards. I was looking at the results coming in. I was seeing evidence, information before the newscasts were presenting it. And I was like, I think around like 9 o'clock, I looked at my wife and I said, you know what? Trump could actually win this. And she was shocked too, because for the first time in her life, she realized Trump could become the president of the United States. An hour later, I went from Trump could win this, that Trump was going to win this. Why are you not pronouncing him? He's going to be the president. I don't want him to be the president. He's going to be the president. And that was where I was at. Now, during his nomination, while he was running for president, I was a never Trumper. And since I've never voted for Trump, and now never will vote for Trump, I will always be a never Trumper. I even decided to name him Lex Luthor. Why, you may ask? If you know anything about Superman, you know that Lex Luthor was not only Superman's arch enemy, he was a businessman that at one point was the president of the United States. So Lex Luthor would be Trump as an evil president of the United States. I confessed from doing that. I repented because that was very dehumanizing, not to him, but the people who supported him. But that was where I was at. And so when he won, you can imagine how unhappy I was. So I just settled in and, I accepted the fact he was going to be president of the United States, and I was going to watch and see what happened. And as he became president, one thing I noted was there was the controversy of the Russia and collusion. Now, I looked at the evidence and I thought, there's nothing here. What are people talking about? Yeah, he met with Russia on this after he was elected or something like that. So what's the big deal? And I kept waiting for the evidence. The evidence never came. We had independent counsel come in, and the evidence never came. And we had Congress people saying there is evidence, he colluded, and now we know that they're lying. And so that disturbed me. That disturbed me greatly. And then the impeachments. The first impeachment was over a phone call that no one had a recording of. Second impeachment had more stability, but it happened after he had lost the election. And I'm looking at these impeachments. I'm going, what's happening here? I mean, yes, fight Trump, but what are the Democrats doing here? So Trump loses in 2020. And by that point, I had begun to sour because I'd seen some of these things that Democrats had done. And honestly, I'd seen some of the things the media had done. That was, and remember, I'm a never Trumper. I'm not saying, I'm not arguing, what are you doing to my boy Trump? I'm like, let's be fair. I mean, there are things that Trump's probably guilty of. Get him on that, not some sort of phone call. So I'm watching these things, and 2020 comes, and of course we had January 6th, which was horrible, which, I had predicted ahead of time that no matter who lost, there would be riots, and unfortunately I was right. And so January 6th comes and goes. Now, January 6th, as I said, it was a horrible thing, but we just had a lot of riots a few months earlier. And so I'm watching, to be honest, this disparate treatment of the January 6th people and the riots. And I know the argument is that this was threatening an election, but, we had people who burned down police stations during the riots. And I don't see the level of different treatment warranted. And then as Trump is not president, I watch a series of court cases that, let me be clear, I think the classified documents court case, that's one I wanted to see because I think he's likely guilty. I think he took classified documents in a way he should not have because of his ego. I think that he probably was guilty in the electoral schemes trying to get fake electors. I think he's probably guilty. I didn't see enough evidence to say for sure, but I think he probably is guilty on that. He might, I have some doubts as far as his phone call to people in Georgia, but that's the case that was warranted. Honestly, the rest of it was garbage. The case on him and the bank, his banking and his on his properties, the case of Bragg in New York, I feel was a joke. Maybe he's guilty of that. And here's the thing and why things were so problematic. Bragg could have brought that case to a lot of people. The case of him inciting January 6th could be brought against a lot of people inciting other riots. I wanted cases that I knew would be brought against not just Trump, but anyone else. The classified documents fit. The electors fit. The other cases did not. I have to say that the Republican argument of lawfare is applicable in some of these situations. I watched Democrats support nominees in the Republican primaries who denied the election of Biden because they were easier to beat, from a party that says they want democracy. So I don't like Trump, but I definitely don't like what the Democrats are doing. And I've come to realize that the problem I was running into when Trump was running the people who support Trump no matter what. You've heard of TDS, and usually it's Trump derangement syndrome, but there's also Trump delight syndrome. They delight in Trump no matter what. Trump said he could shoot someone and they'll still support him, and he was right. But Trump derangement syndrome was correct too. I watched Democrats violate their oath of office, the things they say they support, democracy, fair play, in order to get Trump. And that's why, do we lionize? Do we idolize Trump? Do we demonize Trump? Here's where I've come down now. As someone who will never vote for Trump and does not like a lot of things that he's doing, but as someone who does not like what the Democrats have done and also have problems with some of the things that they're doing, I want to humanize Trump. And here's what I mean by that. I want to evaluate Trump on his own merits. He's going to be my president for the next 4 years. Nothing I can do about that. That's set. If he does something that is good, I want to say it is good. If Trump stops the war Russia is engaging in right now, I don't want to say, well, it's Trump. So I got to find something wrong with Trump stopping that war. I just want to say, praise God, the war has stopped, and thank you, President Trump. When Trump engages in immigration policies that I deeply disagree with, when he goes and seems to want to kick out and people who've been here for years, I want to criticize Trump. I don't want to defend him no matter what. I want to evaluate Trump on his own terms. That is humanizing people. Trump deserves to be humanized. He does not deserve to be idolized. He does not deserve to be demonized. I know that my inclination as someone who's always opposed Trump is to demonize him. So I have to fight against that. You may be coming here and you may defend Trump. Maybe you're very supportive of Trump. Your inclination may be to idolize him. And you may say, well, he says a few bad things, but he's a great president. And overlook some of the things that he's doing that's not so great. You may have to fight against that. As Christians, I think we need to fight against both extremes and humanize people that we tend to like and we tend to not like. I think in human depravity, but all of us being creatures of God, image bearers, that is the proper position to be. Does this shatter some paradigms? Paradigms not just about Trump, but how we think about politics, how we engage with people we disagree with our political opponents? I hope it does. And I'll let you know that I still continue to struggle in my quest to humanize people like Trump. If this is a discussion you enjoy, then please like the discussion. Comment. If you disagree, comment. If you like the tenor of how I talk about these sort of things, subscribe. You'll get more content delivered to you. Help to encourage me to create more of these sort of videos. Well, thank you for watching this far, and I hope you'll come back again where we shatter some more paradigms.